Okay, welcome back to members of 121 Community Church in Grapevine, Texas. In our ongoing study on Plotinus, we are going to take a look at pages 105 to 119, and we'll take a look at the concrete response to the universal stream of the one, the nous, and the soul. Let's go to block 1, take a look at the one and the intelligence that are co-eternal. The one is simple. The one is the source of everything, including our existence, and our soul seeks mystic return to the one. Now the one begets being by overflowing out of its excess, and the Neuse Intelligence abides with the existent one. The one and the Neuse Intelligence are co-eternal. Then the Neuse Intelligence produces the world soul, and the world soul does not remain unchanged. So you remember, you have the incomprehensible one, and then it overflows into the existent one, the Neuse Intelligence, and the world soul. And the world soul will not remain unchanged. The world soul will differentiate. It will go out of itself as sensate existence. Sensate existence, the world soul governs creation as providence, while remaining transcendent intelligence. The world soul goes far out of itself, reaching the intelligence of humanity, even if that humanity is fallen, and the soul of the self seeks mystical theosis, or reunification with the divine, and by the power of the divine. And that means that we have to look at the prerequisite of virtue. Mysticism is rooted in morality. Virtue must define the true self. The true self is just, holy, and prudent, drawing virtue from the Neuse Intelligence. So, Plotinus says that we have an innate desire to reunite with the divine, which he calls the Neuse Intelligence and the world soul. And that response must be virtue. So let's go to block 2. Our concrete response to the Neuse Intelligence is through the 3 higher virtues. Reaching theosis unification is through virtue, drawn from the Neuse Intelligence. In other words, virtue is derived. We derive order, we derive proportion, we derive harmony. And we develop conviction, motivational conviction, as an image within us, the image of Jesus Christ. Creation as image. Conviction as image takes us beyond mere opinion, because it's an image for the better ordering of life, the providential ordering of life. So we transcend opinion. We recognize traces of perfection in reality. We see glimpses of that spiritual movement presented from above, where we see the concrete reality participating in the form of providence. Our participation in that form is through the higher virtues. It's a process of purification. He calls it the divine flight toward theosis, reunification with the divine. It is a divine flight of purification through temperance, through courage, through rectitude. We negate the passions, we affirm reason. We take up the language of inner word. Within our soul, we commune with the world soul through withdrawal into the soul itself, free of passions, with an effort toward theosis, reunification with the divine. So you can see it's all about mystical reunion for Plotinus, but it begins with a conviction, and the conviction is a conviction that providence as a spiritual presence lies behind sensate surface reality. There is the reality of a spiritual movement of providence that begins with that motivational base. But then we move through a process of mystical purification because we want to be united and we want to participate in that movement of providence. To do that, we need help. And that comes from the Neuse Intelligence. So in Block 3, we get that help from the Exemplars. Let's look at the Exemplars. The objectively present Exemplars exist in the Neuse Intelligence. They are abbreviated under the category of divine wisdom. Our imitation begins with subjective contemplation and our attentive gaze toward the virtues in the world soul that reflect the exemplars in the Neuse mind. Remember, you go from incomprehensible one to the first emanation of the existent one to the next emanation of the Neuse Intelligence, which contains the exemplars, to the next emanation of the world soul, which enters concrete reality with the virtues. So we look and gaze toward those virtues in the world soul, and they reflect the exemplars in the Neuse Intelligence. Those exemplars are wisdom, temperance, and justice. Therefore, 3-3 objective exemplars and our subjective contemplation bring about persistent pure state of theosis reunification. It becomes a vision of intelligence. So it is spiritual vision, which transcends mere knowledge. It's beyond mere sensate knowledge. It's a vision in the realm of transcendence of the Neuse Intelligence. And it will be practical as conformity to virtue as we perceive it in the world soul. It does become practical, so it's theoretical and practical both. It is objective and subjective both. It's objective presentation of the exemplars. It is subjective contemplation of the virtues. And it is persistent theosis unification with the divine. So it is exemplars, virtues, theosis. Exemplars, contemplative virtues, theosis. That becomes the triad that reflects this mystical path of reunion with the Godhead. But what's key here is that in our previous lesson we discussed the triune nature of reality. It is Neuse Intelligence, it is one, it is the existent one, it is Neuse Intelligence, and it is world soul. It is a triune reality with one goal of providence. That's what Plotinus tells us, that he draws from out of Plato. He tries to emphasize the divine reality of Plato that he did not emphasize as much as Plotinus did. But what's key in this lesson is that he says that the Neuse Intelligence and the existent one, they are co-eternal, they are co-substantial, they share the same ousia, divine essence. So block 1 is important for the co-substantiality, the co-essential nature of the Neuse Intelligence and the existent one. They both emanate out of the incomprehensible one. Block 2, we learned about the concrete response, and it has to be the 3 high virtues. But it begins with motivation. And then motivation moves on to purification. But it's all about the virtues which apply to providence. Because look at the 3 virtues in 2:2. Order, the order of providence. Proportion in the model of providence. Harmony, between the elements that make up the model of providence. So all of the virtues apply to providence that we gain and that we participate in as our concrete response to the co-eternal, existent one and Neuse Intelligence. We respond by participating in order, proportion, and harmony of providence in Block 2. That took us on to Block 3 and the reality that we conclude with, and that is that the exemplars that are present in the Neuse mind are objectively present. They flow into the world soul, and that becomes objectively presented to the sensate realm of existence, where we perceive virtues. So we go from exemplars to virtues, and then we respond with a contemplation called theosis, unification with the divine. So we end up with exemplars, and then virtues, and then contemplation, or exemplars, virtues, and then theosis. All beginning with the co-eternal, co-substantial Neuse Intelligence and existent one, the response of order, proportion, and harmony, and then reaching contemplative theosis, reunification with the divine triune reality. 3 triune realities of being emanate out of the incomprehensible one. You have the existent one of the good. You have the existent Neuse Intelligence next. Then you have the existent world soul next. And the world soul is that which is open to concrete sensate reality. That is the realm that bleeds into the world we live in. The world soul is present as spiritual presence behind the surface reality of finitude. So behind finitude, spiritually and contemplatively, we perceive a world soul. The world soul we perceive as that which reflects a Neuse Intelligence of the divine, which flows out of the incomprehensible divine that we never really will ever fully grasp. We know that God is other than us. He is wholly transcendent. And out of that wholly transcendent, incomprehensible one emanates the 3 existent triune realities that all share a common direction and goal called providence. So we get beautiful additional teaching here in pages 105 to 119. It deals mainly with it's at the same chapter. It's 5b, so it's the same chapter as the triune realities, but now it emphasizes co-substantiality, co-eternity within that triune reality, and our response and our participation in the order, the proportion, and the harmony of providence. Beautiful additional teaching, and we will pick up next time on page 120.